Shut up! Welcome back. Wait a second, do I start the video like that? Yeah. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to DVDs, Nuts, and Popcorn, aka DVDs, Nuts, and Dashboard Noises. I'm your host, the PMM, the Physical Media Mac. And yes, I am back with another Goodwill hunting for DVDs and Blu-rays video. Sorry about that. All right, let's get to the video. All right, now, get a sip of coffee here. All right, I got stuff from, one of my pickups was from Walmart. Got some movies that we covered in previous videos that I finally watched. And I got some Goodwill pickups here. I don't think anything's from Amazon or eBay. It's all stuff I found out in the wild. Let's start with the Walmart pickup here. Very interesting pickup here. You guys might want to check on this. Check your local Walmart. We have the Horror 20 movie collection here, guys. And I am here to tell you guys, if you're a creature feature guy or girl, this might be the pickup for you. This only cost me $12, and we have 20 movies here. Now, I have seen some of these films, but there's enough films here to definitely warrant the price of admission for me. Let's just go over the movies real quick here. We have Hollow Man, a movie that I don't even remember. I'm sure I saw it at one point around the time it first came out. I believe it's a Kevin Bacon film. Was unaware that they made a Hollow Man 2. Hopefully that's cheesy as hell. The Hunt for the BTK Killer. I might have seen that before, but didn't realize it and watched it again. It's the only movie I've watched since I picked it up, so we'll talk about that film in a little bit here. The Tattooist, I had no clue about that film. Hostel 2, I believe I own both of those on DVD, one of those on Blu-ray possibly. Anatomy, which is a German horror film that stars the lady from Run Lola Run, I believe. And I remember enjoying that film. And I didn't know this either, there's an Anatomy 2, so that's very cool. I've already seen Anatomy, so I get to watch Anatomy 2. We have Anaconda in here, which everybody's seen. Black Water, which is a killer alligator film, I believe, or crocodile film that I've only watched some of. I need to go back to that. I don't know how I got disinterested, but something happened where I never finished it on streaming service. So now I own a physical copy of it. Red Water with cool shark film with Lou Diamond Phillips and Coolio. Then we have a movie called She Creature, and know nothing about it. The Breed, which is a killer dog movie that I picked up and talked about recently on the channel. We have The Cave. I don't believe I've seen The Cave, but I have seen that DVD cover. I remember it. The Forsaken. I remember that DVD cover. I don't think that got very good reviews. We have Vampires, The Turning. Know nothing about it. Bats, Human Harvest. I'm not sure if I've seen that one, but I'm into bat films, killer rat films, killer bird films. Speaking of killer bird films, guys, we have Fatal Contact, Bird Flu in America. You know that's got to be just horribly amazing. And then we have Caw, one of the greatest film names of all time, which I have seen. We've talked about on the channel recently. And then last of the 20 films here, we have a movie called Nightwing. Not sure if that's a bat film as well, but it'd definitely be a good name for a bat film. Now, presentation here. It's got all the movies there at the bottom. And you can screenshot of that if you want. see the run times and, you know, vital information of the films. Now, let's open this baby up. Well, that's kind of cool. At least it has some kind of inner art. It has all the production information back there. I was kind of wondering where that was at, because I like how they did that, because there's not really a lot of information on this part of it. So it's cool they did that on the under art. And then each one of these discs, these black discs, have 4 films. No, that can't be right. Mathematically, that's impossible. So we have 4 on that one, 4 on that one, 4 on that one. Oh, no, wait a second. Mathematically, that is possible. If there's 5 discs, 5 times 4 is 20. Okay. I had a moment there, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, 5 discs. So really cool, man. Again, for 12 bucks at Walmart, I would say definitely pick this one up if enough of the movies on here you have not seen. And again, I mean, I thought Anatomy was cool. Definitely looking forward to watching Anatomy 2. The Bird films, the Bat films, totally interested in that stuff. And I'm definitely going to watch Hollow Man and Hollow Man 2. But the movie that I did watch, which I might have seen before, one of those late night watches where you don't really remember too much, a 2005 television film called The Hunt for the BTK Killer. Now, the BTK Killer was, you know, he was named Dennis Rader. I think he killed like 10 people, man. Just a deplorable human being. And, again, it was made for television. Robert Forster's in this, from Jackie Brown. He's been in tons of other films. I really like him as an actor. I think he plays a really good detective in this. And then the guy who plays Dennis Rader, and if you've followed the BTK case and watched all the court proceedings, or a lot of the court proceedings, you know, on YouTube, you can kind of see Dennis Rader's mannerisms and the way he talks, and of course the way he looks. And I think this actor, Greg Henry, really nails Dennis Rader and does an amazing acting performance, really adds to the overall film. Now, this being a made-for-television movie, you really don't see too much of the brutality. It's more of, you know, what's unseen is the scariest, you know, one of those type of situations where you don't see it, but in your mind, just thinking about what really happened, because they're not being crystal clear by showing it to you, it could be even more terrifying, if that makes any sense. Now, I thought it was well done. I thought it was well directed, and yeah, man, I thought it was a good job. And I guess part of the reason why they didn't show too much, you know, you'd think, like, if I tell you they didn't show too much, the type of horror film fanatic that I am, I'd be like, oh, this is gonna suck. So kind of surprised that they were able to pull it off without showing a lot of stuff. But one of the other reasons, I think, besides the fact it was made for television, they have these respectful comments at the beginning saying this movie was dedicated to the family of the people that were slain, and the people of the town, and the police force that ended up catching him. Now, he ended up getting busted. It was very weird. Like, he sent them a floppy disk from the church where he's like a volunteer leader at the church, and some computer like analyst guy was able to trace where the actual floppy disk was, the information was put on it. He was able to trace where it came from. It actually pulled up the church name, and actually pulled up Dennis's name as well. And it was odd because Dennis Rader actually, I think before he sent a letter out to the police. Like he was always like sending letters taunting them, dropping clues and puzzles and whatnot. And I think he stopped killing for like 20-something years or something like that, and then went back to killing, if I remember correctly. But he asked the police force, he actually asked them, was it traceable, the floppy disk, and they told him no. So he believed them and ended up sending it, and that was ultimately his downfall. So, oh shit. Well, okay, so this is probably the creepiest moment in the film, and I don't know if this was a true part of his story in real life, but he's in a diner and he's like complimenting this girl on her hair, this young waitress being creepy and shit. And all of a sudden this lady like taps him on the shoulder and says, "Hey, Dennis or Mr. Rader, my nephew was part of your volunteer program at the church, or no, I'm sorry, was part of your Boy Scout. You were a Boy Scout leader to my nephew, and he loves you so much, and he'll get a kick a kick out of the fact that I saw you, and he misses you so much. He learned so much from you." And he immediately tells the lady, he's like, "Yeah, your nephew sure can't make a knot." I can't remember the name of the knot, but you know, like in the Boy Scouts, you make these, that's part of like getting your ribbons. You have to be able to make these knots. I was never in the Boy Scouts, but I know that's true. You have to be able to tie these certain knots to get these badges and stuff. And I want to say one of the knots, there's actually a movie named after one of the knots where a guy was going around and tying these certain types of knots and killing women. I can't remember the name of that film and the name of that knot, but he mentions the name of that knot in here, and he's like, so it's kind of cool that he mentioned, not cool, but it's creepy that he mentions that, and that you realize that he was a Boy Scout leader, so he's very good at tying knots, because remember, binding and torturing and killing, that's his self-named title. And then they immediately after that scene, it goes to him kidnapping someone or doing a home invasion and tying some woman up in those knots. So really creepy parts of the film. And yeah, man, I recommend checking it out. I thought it was well done. Didn't get the best of reviews, but like I said, I thought they did a good job with it. All right, that's the 20 film horror collection. Maybe if I have time, I'll put the name of that knot somewhere here. All right, what do we have here? Let's go with some of the stuff that I have not seen that I just picked up at Goodwill. All right, now I'm compiling like a really big Godzilla film collection. Early on in this channel, I hit a major lick on a really cool Godzilla lot. It had like probably like 15 Godzilla films, 10 to 15 Godzilla films, and neither one of these films was in that lot. And I've heard such amazing things about this Godzilla film right here. I've never seen it. I think it originated in Japan and then had a release over here in the United States. Actually, both of these films, I believe, did that. And that is Shin Godzilla. Now, this is a Toho production film. Toho production is like those are some of the greatest Godzilla films of all time. I think this is the 29th Godzilla film in the franchise. And this is basically just a reboot of the series. Let me read the synopsis on this. Japan is plunged into chaos when a skyscraper-sized lizard monster rises from the deep of Tokyo Bay and lays waste to Tokyo. This is a 2016 film, so I am super hyped about checking this one out, man. This looks incredible. Some of the screenshots on the back of it look really cool. It says, God incarnate, a city doomed. Really cool cover art. Look how badass Godzilla looks on that. And it's got incredible reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, Internet Movie Database, everywhere, man. People love this shit, man. So I definitely got to check this one out. I'm going to watch this very soon. Before our next video, or before my next video, I will talk about this film, man. It says from the mind behind Evangelion, not Evangelion. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Well, I don't even know what that film is anyway. Irregardless, definitely looking forward to checking that one out. And then another movie that I've never seen in my life. I think this is supposed to be way more cheesier. Maybe even in the vein of like those old like Godzilla, King Kong films. It says, "Get ready to crumble." Godzilla 2000. And you probably don't have to guess what year this came out with. Or I probably don't have to mention it. The King of Monsters is back and bigger than ever when a UFO reveals itself as a massive alien monster with awesome destructive powers. What is all his origins? Like I think he like came from the ocean in one film. Something about nuclear, created out of nuclear waste or like something like that. Now this one has UFOs involved in it. He's got a few different things going on throughout his franchise. I'm actually looking forward to watching this one too, man. This looks like it's gonna be great. This got this definitely didn't get the type of reviews that Shin Godzilla got, but let me put it to you this way. I heard this is way better than any of the American shit that we've seen in the past 10 years, for sure. All right, moving on. McDonald's did not disappoint me today. They actually put a good amount of ice in there. All right, man. I talked about this in the past. I like these Blockbuster exclusives, obviously for nostalgia's sake. Now, I don't know how many of these Grindhouse Planet Terror films they made, or Grindhouse films they made, but I know I've at least watched one of them. I watched the one with Kurt Russell in it, where he's like the race car driver, or the car driver where he's, he straps himself in and gets someone in the passenger side and wrecks his car and goes fast and kills them in the car. Which, by the way, I think his name's like Crash. Is it Crash Davis? Or is that like a baseball movie I'm thinking of? I don't know. All I know is Kurt Russell is amazing in that film, killing people in his car. And I think Robert Rodriguez might have directed that one as well. And so that one has Kurt Russell in it, and this one has Bruce Willis. So I've never seen this one before. It looks like it's a zombie film. This chick's got an amputated leg and a weapon attached to her amputated leg. Yeah, this is a zombie film for sure. So yeah, looking forward to checking that one out. Grindhouse Planet Terror. All right. Now, I don't go out of my way to see the Rock films, Dwayne Johnson films. I'm not like a massive fan of his. I mean, he's okay. This one kind of looked interesting. Almost looked like a Walking Tall type of film. But it's called Snitch. And I never heard of it, so when I saw it, I was like, you know what? Let me check it out. Some reviewer says Dwayne Johnson's best movie yet. I don't know if that's saying a lot, but yeah, actually have no notes on this, but I want to say this was released in the past 5 or 6 years. This is not too old of a film. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have checked this one out. I'm sure it has to do with something about some kind of criminal plot line about someone snitching. Does The Rock go to jail and try to snitch to get out of jail? I don't know. Probably not. Justice on his terms. Alright, so check that out soon. Talk about it. Alright, another movie that I've never seen. Madonna's husband, or it used to be Madonna's husband, Guy Ritchie. Now, he made 2 classics. I gotta give him that. What is up with the notes? I don't have any notes on this one either. He's got the movie Snatch. Speaking of Snatch was a film that I really enjoyed of Guy Ritchie's. And he's got, what's the other film? Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. 2 classic criminal films. And, but those were a while back. I think this is a more recent attempt. So who knows, man, if this is going to be good or not. Now, I'm a huge Ray Liotta fan. So when I saw Ray Liotta, I was like, I definitely got to get this shit. Hopefully Ray Liotta plays a baddie in this because he's one of the best baddies. And, yeah, it looks like it has the guy from the rapper. Well, it's got Statham in it, but it's got the rapper from ATL. Why can't I think of his name? That's going to bother me. Why can't I think of his name? I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. He sings that song, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I can't think of his name for some reason. Anyway, yeah, Revolver. Electrifying. Jason Statham has never been better. I don't know. Your mind will not accept a game this big. This might be like a casino type of heist film. Kind of looks like it. All right, moving on. Now, a film that I actually did see. Let me see if there's anything else here that I did not see. All right, I picked this up to flip. I think I can get 20 or more for this. I'm not an anime guy. I'm the opposite of an anime guy, trust me. This is Fushigi Yugi, The Mysterious Play. And that is factory sealed, so they had a few animes at that Goodwill, but the other ones were open, and I looked them up. They're only like $5 each, so this one definitely has some promise to I can flip and make a few bucks on. All right, next up here we have Alpha. I watched this on Friday night. This is a 2018 film. Interestingly enough, directed by Albert Hughes. And he's part of the Hughes brothers that directed Menace to Society. His twin brother, I think Alan Hughes, co-wrote or co-directed the Menace to Society, the hood classic. And then also what else did they do? Dead Presidents? Or am I know they did From Hell, the Jack the Ripper film. I think they had what's the guy from I don't know why I'm thinking Who's Eating Gilbert Grape. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The guy Johnny Depp. And yeah, From Hell with Johnny Depp. And it might not have been Dead Presidents. I can't remember what else they directed, but his brother just directed the Tupac documentary with Afeni Shakur, and I watched that on some streaming service. I had to pay for it, but it was a really good documentary. The Hughes brothers are really good directors. Now, I'm going to admit, I did cry at the end of this movie. Yes, the PMM did get emotional, guys. Now, even though this did tug at my heartstrings at the end, it still was ruined by green screenery and CGI, guys. I mean, when I first started watching this movie at the very beginning, I almost thought the movie was animated. There was such crazy green screens going on and CGI. I'm not even convinced that the actors in this movie weren't CGI. Like, still to this, I did not do my research on it, but they actually did not look real sometimes. Which is odd. Like in the movie Creed, you know, the post-Rocky films, where Creed, I know in the one film where he's fighting Drago's son, right? When Creed's fighting Drago's son, there is CGI going on. There, like, Drago is not even a real person. He's a CGI. And I think Creed was CGI on certain parts of that as well, which completely turned me off to that movie franchise. I don't watch any of the Creed films just because of that. Now, I felt like some of that was going on in here. And by the way, other people that have watched that did not notice that, but I picked it up right away that they had fake CGI people in that film. So, yeah, man, you know, a cool story. I mean, this kid is, you know, he's growing up to becoming a man, and his dad is the leader of this tribe. This is like 20,000 years ago, or this is like a long, not 20,000 years ago, but a long time ago. I think in, where do they say this is at? Somewhere in Europe or whatever. And, you know, this is a, where you had to go out and hunt for your food and stuff. So they would go out the tribe, and for people to become a man, or for the younger kids to become a man, they had to hunt buffaloes. So they would do this ritual every year before the winter. They would hunt these buffaloes. So anyway, his son ends up getting knocked off a cliff and falls on like a lower ledge, but they completely assume he's dead, and he would have died in real life, by the way. And so they leave, you know, and the family is, you know, tormented by this. The tribe goes back to their village, and miraculously this guy lives, the kid lives, and then even further more miraculous shit happens. Some kind of flood just happens out of the blue, because he's like, I don't know, 200 feet from the ground. There's no way he'd survive. And all of a sudden, this huge flood comes. He jumps off into the water and somehow survives. It's super unbelievable, this film. Kind of cool, because the kid, like, his storyline is he doesn't have that killer instinct. So he doesn't want to kill buffalo. He doesn't want to kill animals. He's got too soft of a heart. And he has too much compassion. So it's interesting, the movie's called Alpha. Now, he runs into this wolf pack, and the alpha wolf, he somehow gets the best of the alpha wolf by climbing this tree, and something happens where he just gets the best of the alpha wolf. The alpha wolf ends up getting injured. I think it was more of like an accident than his bravery, to be honest with you. Then all of a sudden, the other wolves leave the alpha wolf to die, and the young kid comes down from the tree and nurses the alpha wolf back to life. And then slowly the alpha wolf builds a bond with him. And I heard someone, like, I was seeing a review, which was kind of interesting. The guy was like, oh, this is how we got dogs. Like, back then there were no dogs, there was only wolves, and wolves became, you know, trained by humans, and then later on we'd have dogs. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was kind of an interesting take on it. But, like, they were joking around saying how quickly he turned this wolf into a dog. Like, literally, it was an alpha wolf out in, you know, hunting, trying to kill people and animals and stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like a canine best friend. So they build this bond, and then the rest of the movie is them trying to traverse the landscape and get back to his village. But, of course, they run into all kinds of shit. A panther, different hunters from other tribes, and just different animals and shit. And again, not a bad film at all, but man, you talk about green screens, man. And it's done in like a high production quality, but it's so glossy and so like pretty and so beautiful that, you know, a good eye can see right through it. It's just, you just know it's fake. There's no way anything could look this damn good. But yeah, man, CGI and green screens ruined it for me. Not bad. I think some people will like this. And again, it was a tearjerker. I cried at green screens, guys. CGI made me cry. All right. Moving on. By the way, last video is trending pretty well. Starting to get back on our feet again. I think early on in the channel, I had my second Goodwill hunting video. I think it's the one that had this Texas Chainsaw Steel, that Dark Skies Steel case, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the OG. That video got like well over 1,000 views, and I was like, okay, it's a nice transition from the video game world. I'm gonna start getting 1,000 views and more, and build the channel and stuff. And then all of a sudden, just went downhill from there. And all of a sudden now, it's starting to trend a little bit better. So thank you for everybody that checked out the last video. We even got up to 20 thumbs up, which is like a record on my channel. I hardly ever get thumbs up like that because I never ask for thumbs up. I never ask for subscribers. I'm just weird, guys. So I do appreciate that, guys. All right, next up, we talked about this on, I believe, the last video. The 4-film The Substitute franchise. And I told you guys I was going to watch the Treat Williams ones. I liked the first one. It was nothing spectacular. And I gotta say, man, I actually thought that Substitute 2 Schools Out was just as good as the first one. I might even have liked it a little bit more. Now, obviously, like I said, it stars Treat Williams. Angel David is, and again, Treat Williams is a mercenary, just like in the first film, our boy Tom Berenger is. But this time he doesn't bring a whole team. He brings in one guy played by Angel David. And Angel David was in A Jersey Tale, The Crow, and G.I. Jane, to name a few films. So that's his mercenary buddy in the film. Also in this, the one of the teachers that he becomes friends with is, in real life, her name is Michelle Williams. And I was like, man, I know her from somewhere. And she played opposite of Wesley Snipes in New Jack City. And I was like, oh, I remember her now. Real beautiful, like green eyes, light-skinned black girl. Definitely you'll remember her from New Jack City. And also B.D. Wong plays another teacher, and he's like a corrupt teacher. And kind of like, he almost plays the Ernie Hudson principal role, but he's a teacher, and he's corrupt. And that's played by B.D. Wong. And he was in like all the Jurassic World films. It's like one of the doctors you might remember him from. Now, my timelines were completely confused. When I was watching this, there's an actor named Owen Staydale. I believe Owen Staydale. And he plays like the gangster high school character. This kid looks exactly like Barksdale from the Wire series. But obviously he would have been a lot older on The Wire. He was still like a young guy on The Wire, so definitely the timelines don't match. Then I did some research. He has a totally different name. I thought maybe he was a brother. I couldn't find that, like a twin, like a relative, but I did not see that at all. But just straight, eerily similar these guys look like to each other. Maybe I'll put both of their faces up here so you guys can check it out. Totally confused me. But yeah, so the difference in this film is a young girl that goes to the high school's dad is a teacher. He tries to do some good Samaritan hero shit on the streets and ends up breaking something up. And he ends up getting killed. And it turns out it's a gang initiation to kill someone. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you find out later on who the person that actually killed him in relation to the daughter. It's kind of interesting. And so he comes into town. He's kind of a loner. He's been like away from the family. So he has to get to know the niece again, and she's kind of standoffish with him at first. So he becomes the substitute in this film, and it's basically him against the gang, just like in the first one. Yeah, man, I thought it was enjoyable, man. I liked it. So now, next up, The Substitute 3, Winner Takes All. And it's The Substitute 4, Failure is Not an Option. Come on, guys. Can we please get a Substitute 5? I know I'm going to want it after watching 4. Trust me. If it's as hokey as I can only imagine. All right, where are we at here? All right, moving along here. All right, this is a $1.25 Bush pickup, aka Dollar Tree, and showed this off in the last video. The Visit, M. Night Shyamalan, and this is a 2015 film. I watched it when it first came out, but I couldn't remember a lot about it. I just knew it had creepy grandparents in it. But I watched it again last night. And basically, this is M. Night's attempt at the found footage genre. That's what this is. Shaky camera and all. This is M. Night's found footage film. So, let me see here. I enjoyed this one, man. I thought it was creepy. It definitely has creepy grandparents. It plays upon that ideal that grandparents are like older people are like weird and that they're creepy. It really does a good job of portraying that. Now, early on, like one of the first times and basically what happens is a mother ends up moving out of her family's home. It's many, many years later. She does not have a relationship with them at all. They find her on social media and want to see their grandchildren. So she sends her grandchildren off on a train, I think, or plane, bus, automobile, whatever. And she just sends them off, right? And then she goes on a cruise with her friends, and she's Skyping with them throughout the film, trying to keep up with them. So the kids are super excited to meet their grandparents. There's a huge twist at the end of the film. They go meet their grandparents, and one of the creepy things that happens early on, which I thought was pretty effective. They're under the house. Oh, by the way, so the found footage becomes in, not that they found footage, but they're actually recording. The kids are actually recording, making a documentary of meeting their parents. So that's where the found footage comes in. So at one point, after they meet their grandparents, they're doing like some kind of fictional scene under the house, acting like something's creepy under the house. And the younger brother and the older daughter are crawling around under the house. And then all of a sudden, kind of like in a Ring style, the grandmother, which she would never be under the house, like she's too old. She's under the house with her long hair covering her face, and she's like creeping, crawling after them really fast and like fast motions. I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. So really effective and creepy. And finally, like, they get so spooked out by it, they bail from outside the house. And then one of the coolest scenes, it's almost like something that, I need to read up on it. It almost seems like something that could have happened when they were filming accidentally, but I think M. Night's smart enough to actually put it in the film. It really makes it creepy and just gross, and they do it over and over again in the film, so I'm not surprised. There's a lot of old people nakedness in this film, guys. A lot of grandmother nakedness, more than you probably want to see. But as soon as she comes out from under the house, at first you think it's going to be one of those things that are like, oh my God, I can't believe she's under the house. And then they find her in the house and they're creeped out, like, I thought she was under the house, but no, she actually comes from up under the house. She's like, oh, that was fun. All right, I'm going to cook some pot roast now. And turns around, and they're like staring at each other, and they look behind as she's walking away, and her skirt, her old granny skirt, on one side is pulled up over her ass cheek, and you can see her right ass cheek as she walks away into the house. I just found that so badass that they put that in there. So then other stuff happens. They're like, you know, we're old people. We go to bed at 9:30, and don't come out of your room at 9:30. And, you know, they'll hear like noises and stuff. Open the door late at night, and the grandmother will be naked on the corner of the wall, scratching the wall, and just like odd shit like that. There's a scene, man, it's really effective. It's just disgusting, where the grandpa, he keeps on going to the shed that's off, you know, it's in the same yard, like in the backyard or whatever, and they're all wondering what's in the shed, because he always goes there. And the boy sneaks into the shed and finds this huge pile of diapers with shit, and the shit looks so friggin' real. It's so disgusting. And anyway, they bust him, and the grandmother's trying to explain to him. I think she said dissonance or something like that. She's like, you have to excuse us. I know you think we're so weird. My husband, your grandfather, has dissonance, which is basically like where you shit on yourself all the time. But apparently he has to wear diapers and stuff, and he's so ashamed of shitting on himself that he hides these diapers in this shed, which is so crazy. Now, try not to give too much away. So you have the diaper scene. So they set that up really good, right, for what happens later. But then they like absolutely crowbar in this germ freak thing. I don't hear them talk about it the whole film. They don't say anything about it, and they go into the younger boys, you know, a lot about him. Like there is character building. He's a wannabe rapper. He kind of reminds me of Al Bundy's son in the Bundy show. Well, I can't think of the Bundy show. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Al Bundy's son. I can't remember his name, but he's such a like lame rapper. This is what not All in the Family. The Bundys? I'm losing my mind. Anyway, he's this wannabe rapper, so they do some character building. I don't think they say anything about germs at all. And there's some weird scene where he's like, something about he touched the toilet handle. I didn't even get it. And he's got germs and he can't get it off or something. And his sister's consoling him and saying, no, it'll clean off. And he's having a panic attack. You know they crowbarred that scene in there for what's going to happen in like 10 minutes in the movie. And sure enough, the grandfather when they finally turn on the kids, and you know, there's no more like just creepiness and creeping around. They actually like, they're gonna kill the kids, right? He has them like held hostage inside the kitchen, and he's just casually behind the fucking island of the kitchen, pulls his pants down. You're like, what is going on? Is he gonna rape the kid? And you don't see what he's doing, but he actually has a diaper in his hand as he comes around the island towards the kid. You don't think anything's going to happen. He's walking casually like he's going to pass the kid, and then he's like, he turns as he's walking by and says, oh, you have that germ thing, don't you? And oh my God, it happens. A shitty fucking diaper right in the kid's face. And I'm like, literally, like, I almost wanted to throw the F up, guys. It was so disgusting, that scene. But, you know, good job on M. Night's part, man. I gotta admit it. Now, what else was there in this film? There was a lot of good creepy shit that happened in this movie, man. I think it's a good film, man. I really enjoyed it. Let me see if I have anything else on the notes. Now, that's it. I don't want to give up two more. There is this twist in the film that I don't want to say because it'll ruin the movie for you guys. And I'll let you guys check it out if you haven't seen it. But, yeah, man, good M. Night shit right here, man. highly recommend it. Check it out. I actually watched some of this last night and finished it off today. We talked about this in the last video, but I hadn't seen it. Obviously a Die Hard ripoff, and it's got Brian James in it, which is a really cool bad guy. He's got the glowing eyes right there, and he's a super over the top. He's got like yellow, crazy like hair in the film, and him and his gang are dressed like they are straight out the circus. They're like just totally like cosplaying it up. And he's just saying like the most like over the top, just like crazy dialogue. You can tell they're having fun with him. I had to rewind it to see what the hell he said, but my Xbox remote died, so I could never see what he like 100% said, but I'm sure partly he did say this. At one point, Brian James is like, they're trying to figure out who the janitor is in the school, which that's played by Michael Dudikoff. He's not the school, the janitor in this this high-tech building, and trying to figure out who he is, just like in Die Hard when they're trying to figure out who Bruce Willis' character is. And Dudikoff also is an ex-cop in no, Bruce Willis is like an off-duty cop, isn't he? But he's an ex-cop, so similar to Die Hard. And they're trying to figure out who he is, and he's doing research. He finds his name, and then the screen, the screen goes on to Brian James' face. He's like, man, I remember that name. Who is this? I remember him. Oh, wait a second. Didn't I used to fuck that guy in prison? Oh no, that was somebody. Dude, I was like, I almost just cracked up laughing. I can't believe, like, it's one of those dialogues that you never expect to hear. And I almost want to say he says, like, whatever the guy's name is, I think it's Nick James, and he's like, I think he says, I think I used to fuck that guy in prison. And then he's like, oh no, that was Dick, which is so friggin' hilarious. But anyway, yeah, man, definitely not as good as Die Hard. And I've seen this ripoff done a few times in the past, probably even more than a few times. The Shadow Chaser film. There's a film with that mixes. There's another like cyborg film. I can't remember the actor's name right now that I really enjoyed. I don't put that up there with that, those films, but it comes up right underneath it. I think Michael Dudikoff is fine in it. Brian James is a great bad guy in it, and it's a fun film. Basically, they're trying to take over. There's like a computer virus, like this tech company created a computer virus, and Brian James like somehow becomes one with the computer virus. And there's kind of a cool scene where they're like, you must think you're God. And he's like, after I control this computer virus, I won't even take calls from God, or something cool like that. But I read this last time, I'll read it again. When a maniacal cyber villain takes over a high-tech laboratory and holds the occupants of the building hostage, it's up to ex-cop Nick James, Michael Dudikoff, to free the employees and to stop the theft of the destructive computer virus. Now, there's a scene in the beginning of the movie, and it foreshadows the end of the film, where Michael Dudikoff's character is a cop, and his partner is held up by Brian James, and he's got her around the neck and holding her hostage. And Dudikoff comes up and he has a gun, and she's basically like, take the shot, and he like loses his he like folds under pressure, I guess, and he doesn't take the shot. And Brian James puts the gun down, and immediately Brian James' character kills the cop. So in this film, he's kind of like an alcoholic. He carries a flask around all the time. He's hitting the bottle real hard. and trying to deal with all the pain and stuff. And you'll see that same type of scene happen in the end of the film. The daughter of the owner of this high-tech building, redhead girl, can't remember the name of her. She's a beautiful woman. And yeah, man, good shit. Die Hard ripoff, Virtual Assassin. Check it out. All right, last film here, guys, and I'll let you go. Speaking of ripoffs, this is definitely a Road Warrior ripoff. I think Road Warrior came out in 80. This might have been, yeah, it's a 1983 film, so definitely a Roadhouse ripoff. Warrior of the Lost World. An anonymous warrior, Robert Ginty of Exterminator 1 and 2, on a supersonic cycle, saves a girl from her father, and her father, from the evil leader of the Omega Force. The evil leader of the Omega Force is played by Donald Pleasance of the Halloween franchise. And so he's the baddie in this film. Really like Donald Pleasance as a baddie. I don't know if he was in any Bond films, but I really feel like he would be a great baddie in a Bond film. Let me know in the comments below if he was a baddie in any of the Bond films. But he'd be a perfect evil villain in a James Bond film, in my opinion. Now, he might have been. Maybe that's why I'm thinking of that, but I'm not sure. Fred Williamson also plays a small role in the film. This movie has like 3 names to it. It's also known as Mad Rider, Vigilante of the Lost Earth, and Raiders of the Omega Year. All just badass names. This movie has a cyborg in it. Actually has a twist ending in the film, which is really cool. And the end of this movie actually sets up for a sequel, but the research that I've done, I have not been able to find a sequel in this film, which is really a letdown, man. They should have made something, man. I think it's good enough to do that. Again, Road Warrior ripoff, but it's a fun film. I think Ginty's good in it. And again, Donald Pleasance's great villain in it. I'm not even going to try to read this old blurry, almost like bootleg type of writing on the back of it. We talked about it in the last video. I would say check it out. It's well worth it. The sound effects are amazing in this movie. There's a lot of like Uzi gun type of weapons that they're like firing these Uzis. And it is totally unbelievable. Like there would be 2 of them. I think at one point, yeah, it's him, the daughter, and the father. And the Omega Force, there's like 100 of these Omega Force soldiers, and they're about to be like I think they're gonna kill them, basically, okay, for lack of a better word. And they somehow get out of the situation and knock somebody out and take their Uzi. And they're literally like, I think one of them has an Uzi, and then the other ones might get an Uzi, but they're going against hundreds of people, and they're running around. It's the most incompetent soldier, this Omega Force. Every soldier is so incompetent. They're like turning their backs on them. None of them can shoot straight. It's like the worst soldiers I've ever seen in my life. It's so unbelievable, but it kind of adds to the charm of it. I would say check it out, man. Yeah, definitely. Warrior of the Lost World. The only rider can destroy the Omega Force. And yeah, he has that badass bike. It's not just on the cover. And it shoots like, it has like cannons on it. It shoots like all kinds of explosives. It's got these guns on it and shit. Pretty badass. Now, for a movie that was like, I think the budget was like $500K, it really has its good share of like explosions and shit. And fiery scenes and just shit exploding, and cool fights sequences as well. He like beats up a midget, and I thought I was finished. Sorry guys. The daughter's father takes the gun from the guy and says, "I got this." From Ginty's character, it says, "Go ahead and show off." There's like this it's almost like a circus group of people. They're all like weird looking guy. There's like midgets and like all kinds of just strangely costumed characters, and they're fighting each other, and they're like all around in a circle. And the father says, "Go ahead, I got this out," because basically he has the gun. He'll protect him. He never protects him. He's like, "Go ahead and fight those guys." He literally fights like everybody in the circle, one after another. It's pretty crazy, but yeah, pretty cheesy story, but a cool film, man. I enjoyed it. Again, wish there was a sequel to it. All right, guys, thanks for checking out. Like another window. Thanks for checking out the video. I'm the PMM, the Physical Media Mac, and I will be back. And good luck out there finding whatever physical media that you are looking for. It's physical media or die. Let's keep physical media alive. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.